And Travis, are you coming this afternoon?
Yep.
Well, he was a ditch boy.
Yeah. Last time after I get two.
Yeah, I'm planning on going to that too. Is that something that we posted, or do we need to worry about how many? I was planning, I don't necessarily have to be, but no, okay.
I don't think so. I mean, it's just a lunch and learn. You're there to learn, not to take any decisions.
You talked about the,
Pictometry, is that what we're talking
Well,
about?
talking about
we got a
FEMA.
PDA meeting
Oh.
too, yeah.
The FEMA meeting, there's no decisions, it's just them telling.
Just informational,
What they gotta, what all the applicants have to do.
all right.
Okay,
We will not sit next to each other, or I won't sit by any other commissioners. Keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, it's like it's a 3 hour thing, 3 hour block, but it's like 45 minutes of instruction, and then the rest of the time, it's all the applicants signing up to the board and stuff.
Okay.
I'm ready. Ready?
And we'll call the meeting to order and begin with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Mochler,
Here.
Graylow,
Here.
Smith,
Here,
Teasy,
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
any conflicts of interest to declare? Right? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any visitors to be heard?
Someone's not on the agenda.
Yeah,
Just got the email, Clay County has been granted the Small Business Administration loan program now as of this morning.
Great.
So individual, I don't know if you've seen, I was talking to some individuals here prior to the meeting that received damage. We did not get individual assistance through FEMA, but this is an option for them. I think, residential is up to $500,000 they can borrow at like 2.3% interest for 30 years. So,
375, that's pretty sweet.
yeah, so the press releases just came in this morning, so I'll get that out. But if anybody asks, Small Business Administration stuff is available to them. So,
great. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for working on that.
Right. Lauren. That your budget request?
Yep, that's all I'm here for today is department budget requests, so I think you guys have it in the packet. I pulled my sheet from last year when I pulled it out of my drawers, but I'm pretty sure that hadn't changed anything on there.
Do you know what page that's on?
107.
Yeah, so it looks an awful lot like last year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That I didn't change it, so.
We must have rolled insurance into somewhere else. Is that the case? In the 25 requested, we don't have
Did
a
I not fill that in?
line filled in, right?
Was that for the building?
It says county extension dash insurance. It's the very first line.
Yeah, I think that went maybe into the courthouse building budget.
Okay.
Repair things and, you know, building related things went into the courthouse.
Any questions for Laura?
Not right now, I don't. I've been too busy finishing up fair and I'm going to state fair right after this, so I don't have a department report for you guys or quarterly report, but
Yeah,
maybe next time.
well, that's okay. That looks good.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you guys so much.
That's
All right, thank you, Laura. Right. And so we have the matter of the Pulse of Life Church abatement application. Morning.
Morning. It looks like at one of your meetings, you guys had granted us a partial abatement for our tax, and there was some discussion there that that the daycare portion of our church was a for-profit. So I just wanted to clarify, the entire operation is a nonprofit organization. So I'm asking for that portion that you guys did not abate would be also abated. So it looks like you gave me a partial abatement instead of the full abatement for that second half. We are a registered nonprofit. I actually work there, but me and Angela do not draw a salary. The only people that are paid from there are the employees that work at that we hire for the daycare. So we are 501(c)(3), both the daycare church. So.
And I believe that if I'm recalling our conversation correctly, that was our understanding as well. And that the partial was a timing matter and not a classification of, so we understood that the entire entity was nonprofit. But the decision was made based on the timing that it was transferred from you and Angela personally to the Pulse of Life Church. So that date of that transfer was what dictated the amount that we did determine was appropriate to abate. So
Yeah, it was October 16, 2023, when it went from, private ownership to transferred into the name of the Pulse of Life Church, a nonprofit
Correct.
corporation.
We've been operating as even prior to that, we were still a 501(c)(3).
Yeah, but the actual property was still in the private. That's what triggers it.
Right.
So that's why we abated November and December.
So by law, we couldn't abate it until the date that it became a nonprofit.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't really clear in any of the stuff that we had gotten back, so.
Like, is there a change in your opinion, from when we made this decision 2 months ago?
There's not, I think it's, yeah, I think it's pretty clear according to state law that the triggering event is the date that the property comes into ownership of the nonprofit. And then, you know, understanding the board made the decision, of course, that it would be used exclusively for those purposes, but that date of October 16th triggers it. So the November was the proper time according to state law.
Yeah. So I guess I understand your reasoning on that part. You know, I'd ask for some consideration if anybody, and if any was to be granted, because that's all out of our pocket. So even though we're doing a community service, those taxes that'll come up out of work that I do outside of the church. So,
And we are very appreciative of the service that you're bringing to the community.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important. Yeah. I think that the guidelines within the law for what we can and cannot do in terms of abatement seem to be pretty strict. They're a little bit complicated to wander through, but they seem pretty strict. So I don't think we have a lot of discretion to offer an abatement that isn't grounded in one of the criteria and SDCL. And I don't think unfortunately, I don't think we have it. We actually look pretty hard for it because I think everybody does.
well, I appreciate your consideration on that. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing in the community.
Yeah.
And we have the public defender contract.
So he has court at 10, so I know he's running around. I don't really have great service, so maybe I will step out and see if I can go find her very quickly. So I would like to do this before he has court, otherwise he cannot be free again until he left.
Okay. So we'll just take a short break.
Two vouchers.
Actually, this would be a good time. New vouchers came in this morning.
I'm about halfway.
Yeah, so we could just take these few minutes to do that. Not seeing the new ones.
No. I bumped the screen and everything went crazy, but I'm back to readable.
So she just embedded them. She didn't highlight them or anything. The new
No,
ones.
our-
Okay.
Yeah, our accounts payable doesn't separate out the order in which you enter them, so unfortunately, they're all just on the original ones that I sent you. I think the main ones were jury vouchers and there was one from L&L Builders for the MEP project for finishing that up. Yeah, a couple janitorial orders or something. So. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where would you like me? Front center,
Fine, sure.
Find the
Excellent.
microphone.
preferably.
We call that one the hot seat.
Yeah. Story of my life. So you want me to just dive into it?
Yeah, please do.
Perfect. For those of you I haven't met, I think most of you look familiar, but my name is Seth Clentz. My firm has had the contract, it seems like close to forever, and I've been down here for give or take 7 years now. Been before several of you before updating those contracts. And as I'm sure you're all aware, we're coming to an end again in December of this year. And so I've crunched some numbers. I believe some of those may have been presented, but to kind of lay some groundwork for where I'm gonna eventually end up here. The trend, I went back a few years, and so in 2021, and the numbers I ran, just so we're clear, were only numbers that are cases that I actually handled or touched. So the numbers are different in terms of the volume flowing through Clay County. But I don't think that it was necessarily fair to consider those. I was trying to track trends of what's actually being handled by my office or by myself. So in 2021, looking at felonies, juvenile files, and ANNs, we had 112 in total. And I have those broken down if you want the specifics, but 112 is the bottom line. In 2022, tracking those same types of files, we went to 121. And then in 2023, 139. Obviously, we're in 2024, and so I don't have a total there. But roughly, give or take, a 20 file jump from 22 to 23. We're obviously talking about 25, so somewhere in the neighborhood of another 20 to 30, possibly 40 files increase from that 139, almost 140. So if we had another 20 cases from there, we'd be somewhere around 160 for 2024 and somewhere around that 170 to 180 going into 2025. And so the number we've looked at to stay down here, and it would be in that limited capacity. And that's why I picked those numbers, is what's being proposed from the previous contract is my firm would still stay on for felonies only in terms of criminal court, and that would have the same exemptions that the current contract has. So no A, B, or C felonies, which are very rare anyway. And so we're really not cutting anything out. Probation violations and new felony files would all be fair game with those exceptions. So really no change there. The big exemption from criminal court would be those misdemeanor files. And the idea here is that I would only come down 1 day a week. Judge Byrne has agreed to move her criminal docket to Wednesday mornings. Judge Knopf is already here on Wednesday afternoons. And so I could do that and still honor some of my other obligations, which were kind of the catalyst of why I thought I was going to have to leave. And to be honest, I don't want to leave. So I'm hopeful that we can work something out here. In looking at through that contract, there were some other things just in terms of scheduling, as I've referenced, with the goal being keeping me down here 1 day a week. And also having you not pay me extra money for something that's unlikely to happen. In fairness, there were a couple items I proposed to remove. Habeas corpus, I can't remember the last time I did one. And so I think, in my opinion, we're best to just leave that as an outlier. And if it would come up on the rare occurrence, it would just be out of contract for probably not myself, just because I wouldn't be down here as regularly, and appeals. And those two are similarly situated where they are so rare that I don't think you need to be, in my opinion, paying me to be on the hook for those when the odds that they actually happen are slim. Next was the juveniles. And as I've said, I'm not proposing any changes there. I would still handle all juvenile files, all ANNs. Obviously, I can only take one party from the ANN, but and those are long cases. ANNs in general take a year. Oftentimes, we're expected to have them done within a year, but oftentimes we're having a good cause finding to go beyond that year. So those get to be a long haul. The last, and I don't know if anybody had the contract, I probably should have or could have brought a copy for everybody to follow along, but in terms of duties, the last two very short paragraphs are the mental ill proceedings and the involuntary commitments. I honestly, again, can't recall the last mental illness hearing I participated in. Involuntary, I've probably done 4 in the last 3 or so years that I can think of. So again, very rare, and in the name of efficiency for myself, and as a practical matter, I don't know that I can be on the hook for those with my other obligations. So proposing to cut all of those. So to summarize, what I'm proposing to keep would be all felonies with the exception of those A, Bs, and Cs, as well as all juvenile, ANN, and juvenile court proceedings. The number I proposed there with those projections I've given is 175,000. I was looking through this last night. One of the other items that I know is going to be an issue with courthouse changes is under the current contract, there's an obligation that the county provides me an office, and I think that's going to be going away. I don't think they're trying to edge me out, but it's just, there's not room for me anymore. So that's something we still need to discuss, but there's other places I can find to meet with individuals. The only reason I point that out is there has been office hours that I'm supposed to be keeping. Certainly if I don't have an office, I won't be doing that. And frankly, nobody uses those office hours unless I'm actually meeting with them prior to a court hearing, with some exceptions. So there, I point that out only because I think there may be some other small tweaks, but in terms of the nuts and bolts of what I think I'm able to handle going forward and what I think that that's worth, that's the proposal that I had put together. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions?
Your office will be coming back in a year or two, probably 2 years.
Okay, well,
Once
that's
we get
good.
the new jail, the new law enforcement
Sure.
center built, remodel the old police department, then you'll get an office again.
Okay.
We should be able to find you something, you know, bigger than a closet.
But it's kind of a big closet already. It's kind of
Yes.
storage slash my office.
That's kind of what I'm driving at there.
But no, I think it works and I don't ask for much. So, I mean, we haven't had a phone functional in there for quite a while and we just kind of put our heads down and make it go. So
We want to make it work too.
I do too. And, you know, I don't know how candid I need to get on the open forum, but I think in my mind, there's hope by keeping my foot in the door here. If I can get my obligations in the county to the north, that's kind of pulling me right now. The goal is to get a third attorney down the road and I don't want to overpromise, but that's what I'd like to do. And in theory, I really enjoy being down here. We've got a great working relationship. I want to be able to come back. And so when the opportunity presented that we could maybe still make the bigger portion of the cases work for me, I was really encouraged because I've talked to a couple of you and I think everybody knows I wasn't trying to take my ball and go home. It was just a matter of logistics. So I'm hopeful.
All right, well, we're really hopeful too.
Appreciate that.
And this is an annual contract right now?
I think just so we can, in fairness to the commission and to us, just to see how this trends and to make sure I don't spread myself too thin. I mean, I can do anything for a year, but and hopefully, you know, perhaps I'll get that new hire within the next year. But yeah, I think for now, I'd be proposing it for 1 year and then see where we are. I think both sides have some skin in the game to see how this plays out.
At this point, that seems reasonable, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe sending a digital copy of the contract around would be great, but I think it's very sensible. Sure.
I thought within the Seth and I could work together to kind of finalize what this looks
Sure.
like and then ultimately present the new contract to this.
Yeah, and I think Carrie and I had this in a Word. I just poached it off an old email, so I think we had a Word format, and that's something that Mr. Smith and I can easily carve out those things that I've highlighted and those exceptions and make sure that it is what the commission understood it to be.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, consider this to be post-conceptual, but pre-finally driven agreement,
Understood.
something like that.
Sure. I think that's fair.
Super.
Off the hot seat already?
Yeah, we are
Let's get on
delighted.
business. Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
We appreciate the work you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Be Brad. You've got your 2025 budget request.
So what came through at 25 is the updated one that is 25 after 8, I think, right? That's doesn't have a very clear label on it, but that is the updated budget that's got salaries in it. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, this didn't start out my project. I had to take it over since the last meeting. So I went back through and it came out a little less than the first go around in the supplies and the payroll. Big reason was for
It's called.
Larry and I not being on the payroll anymore. So I think a lot different.
Looking forward to that, aren't you?
Yep. Boy, the way it's been going, it ain't coming fast.
We're friends here, Rod. You don't have to sugarcoat it.
This has been one of the wildest months that I've been superintendent. But yeah, so Carrie gave me the wages and the pay scale. And so the top two, that's scenario. If we don't hire, or if we hire a superintendent from outside, that could change. This is just an estimate, what I went with. Pretty much everybody else is just a normal. If we do stay with this, it would be Brent and Dooley would be the two moving up, Tim Dooley, I meant. And then I included $100 of overtime for everybody but the bookkeeper and the superintendent, and as you see on their new secretary, I guess it just will tell you now, Michaela's quitting. So we have the job posted again. Soon as we get somebody hired, she's gonna help train, and she just decided that with what she's getting paid and daycare, that it was pretty much a wash, so. She did express, thanks for, you know, you gonna help her out, she appreciated that, but it just ain't in the cards right now, I guess, so. I posted, or I asked HR, I know Carrie has really good luck. Did they post it yet?
I believe she sent me the link and I haven't gotten it posted on the county website,
well,
but I
good.
think they have on their end.
But anyway, gotta get off. But
So have you posted then for the, I see you've gotten 3 new hires if the scenario works out. Have you
well,
posted?
yeah, because reason we have 3 new hires is Brian Bertrand came in and said he's retiring at the end of October.
Right, but have you posted for 2 of those at least?
Not yet. No, I'm trying to get one, well, 2, we have 2 job postings now. And not much. I don't know if anybody's looked at the job posting, but that is not what I told them to post after we all agreed on what the job description was. I'm on my 3rd different gal and it is just an elaborate, but it'll work.
Well,
We
if it's
just,
not what it's supposed to be, if it's not what it's.
it
supposed-
covers it, but it's. I guess if I was looking to be a superintendent, I don't know,
Is
did
there
you read
something-
through it at all? The superintendent? I mean, I don't know.
Is there something that's on there that shouldn't be, or
No,
something that should be that?
the
doesn't?
only thing that got left on there was that they have to live in the county. That was still on there, but they put a question in at the end. Would you be willing to move to Clay County? So I figured that was a wash. I figured that'll be fine. We've got New
should get-
Jersey and North Carolina. 2 people applied from there, so,
I think we should probably make sure that gets off of there.
okay, I can do that.
I mean, cause if you had somebody that lived in Beersford or Irene or
Mhm,
just outside the
We
line.
don't want them to just be like, "Ah, I guess.
Yeah, or Vollen or Gayville or.
mhm.
Yeah, I'll make sure that gets off.
Even if we downgraded it to preferred.
Somebody can live in Gayville, it's closer than
Yep.
somebody lives in. By Beersford.
Mhm.
Right, I mean.
But back to so any questions about what I have? I guess we're planning on doing a little microservicing next year, but we really want to get caught up on our chip sealing program. So the microservicing would be on the east side. I believe it was on Greenfield Road. Right, yeah, so. In the chip sealing, I can't really tell you exact routes. Gotta wait and see what the winter and the plows do. But,
Yeah, the email this morning really answered the 2 questions I had, so. It's good.
okay,
Any other questions?
What machinery are you looking to buy next year? Get into that.
Got a list here.
There is?
Wanna use this
Yeah,
one?
it's the second one.
I can't get on my computer. It's not
Oh,
giving me
okay.
access.
Have trouble too. So I use mine at home.
The Wi-Fi thing or?
Yeah, it's not letting me connect. It's actually telling me that there's no internet available.
Oh,
Mine's just
odd.
pilot error, I think.
on your airplane mode or something, is it?
It's acting like I feel, so.
some reason-
So sorry.
For some reason, I don't have my,
Condolences.
oh, here it is. Yeah, so, last year. You took back 631,000 out of the machinery budget that we had, and we got left with 78,000, and we bought a snow blower with it. So we went back and put back in what we had for last year, but end up taking out or not using quite that much. Our low boy in the last year. We've had a lot of work, have to have a lot of work done on that, and I'm afraid it's just kind of not quite heavy enough for our new excavator. We really should have a triple X, and I've been catching a lot of grief from the contractors when they see us hauling it, and I go, we're getting a new one sooner or later.
How's it weigh out per axle then?
Well, it's a little over on the trailer and yeah. But I mean, it's a 30-ton and our excavator's 25.
Yeah.
But you just
Can't
can't
load
get
it,
it to
right?
weigh it out. And then, we looked at, putting in some culverts, the one we did on the county gravel 309. Boy, if we'd have had this rotating head, it would have been a lot easier, just set on the road where you can dig facing you and you can dig this way, that way. And it is quite spendy, but boy, I'm thinking in the future, maybe upgrading to a little bigger one and get rid of the backhoe. I mean, that little mini it's so quick. And then our cat skid loader's getting a lot of hours on it. So we'd like to get a new cat skid loader. I got down below what we plan on surplusing next year. I have a new snow blower like the one we bought. A hydraulic one for Wakanda shop to get rid of the 72 Fair snow blower, which has a V8 cat, and the upkeep on that is just horrendous. I mean, we bought it from the city quite a while ago, and I mean, the only trouble is when you need it, then we have to work on it to get it going.
And the visibility with the motor on
Yeah.
top is a real pain.
Yeah, you can't see anything
Boy,
coming
still,
from,
I think it's still worth 7,500. That's a good.
I've already had people.
Advertisement for fair manufacturing.
Already had people inquiring about it because they know we got other snow blowers, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, those estimates may be a little high, but it's pretty low hour, it's just high maintenance.
Yeah,
But you can still get parts for it, just go to Yankton or,
right.
Probably what they paid for it 52 years ago.
well, I
Bet they
think
didn't pay
we,
that much.
I think we paid 7,500 for it in 07 maybe. Whenever the city bought their new one.
It's good stuff though. Boy,
So did you get that sheet to pull up? Okay,
Right.
so any other questions on there? We're gonna get rid of that 2071 John Deere, the one that has twin motors on it. That's getting a lot of hours, a lot of upkeep. Not necessarily too thrilled about that Massey Ferguson tractor. But that's the only quote I could get right at the moment. I think, International or Diamond Moore has not got back to us with either an International or John Deere or New Holland. Or what was it? There's one other one. What's the one that Butler sells, the yellow one? It doesn't say cat, but it's.
Challenger.
No, it's. And it's not Fendt. It's not Argo, Agco.
Agco,
They
yeah.
have an Agco tractor or
That's the
something.
old Alice.
Well, that's the Massey now.
Oh, that's Massey
That's
now?
Massey.
Oh, I thought he said there was, okay. Okay, that's why I got the Massey quote then.
Yeah, Massey Ferguson's actually are pretty good outfits, at least they have been historically.
Well, we have two counties that have one and they told me, don't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I, haven't got a reason why, but they have twin motors on them too, whether they don't have the power, I don't know. But, that's kind of up in the air on that. Only reason I put that down is the only one we got, the quote we got. But we put one together. We bought one from C&H. Or C, whatever the one in Yankton is anymore. And then we bought the mowers and that ended up being more spendy than going through Diamond and them buying the mower. But at that time, you couldn't get a tractor. We get the mowers, you couldn't get a tractor. I can't remember what year's that one. Brian's mower, the 6130. Had a 17,
Yeah, 16,
18, something like that. And the International one we have that hooked on to that hydro swing mower. And for some reason, we can't add twin motors to it on account of the size of the tires. But we use that Dennis or the weed department uses that for spraying. We use it box scraping in the spring when you can't get on the roads, with a blade, and then we pull the hydro swing more with it. So I wouldn't want to tie it up. You're pretty much tied up with the mowers, twin mowers. But that's getting a lot of hours too. So is our 2000 Bobcat. I don't know how many hours that is, but we've had a lot of trouble with that lately too, so. But that's kind of what we come up with, or if good case scenario, out of that 590,000, there'd be 72 of it coming back, in a surplus sale. Which we usually do through Gerard's and Wakanda, and they don't charge us anything, be online. And I haven't talked to them yet about doing that.
The 590 is considerably below was it 731?
Yep.
And so is that just getting harder numbers, or is there a piece of equipment that we have that we're not,
No.
that you were considering earlier, you're not requesting now?
Not at this time. There's a couple coming up, but I think, if I was sticking around, I'd wait. I'd put it on maybe 26. But in 26 and 27, we might have to start buying trucks. Cause the oldest new truck we got is a 2015. So, and we hung on to the other ones way too long the last time. We need to keep, it'd only be one truck at a time, but you're looking at least 210,000. We wouldn't need snow equipment, but that's about what box hydraulics and a tractor cost. So that's coming down the line, so.
So, and just, thinking to kind of even out spikes and dips and things, like, is there money you'd want to put aside for that in this budget to help put towards that, or are you?
No,
confident
I
we're gonna
don't-
be
I
buying
don't
that
think
time?
so. I don't think so.
Because we're gonna spend more on a tractor than what he's got here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Any other questions?
May your woes end.
Right.
May your woes end, because they all come on over to us too, but yeah,
Right.
it's been a hard season for you, Rod. Thanks for sticking it out.
Well,
Yep.
the season is typical flooding.
Well, not the
But
weather,
the
not the weather,
People
other,
walking in the
yeah.
door saying,
yeah,
see ya,
yeah.
before me.
Yeah.
But no, we're working on it and Brian is done the end of October. So get started on that and then depend on, we want to get a superintendent hired by the 1st of October. So right now we have 2 local people that have applied, so,
For the superintendent.
yep, both live in Clay County, so. We'll see where that goes.
So then next on the agenda, we've got the Santel Communications right-of-way applications.
Yes, and I did not give you. This is the reason I didn't give you all the permits. So we went through all these single page permits. But it come out to, man, I don't remember what the count was for borings.
There were lots,
There was just like 53 on the first one.
140, wasn't it total?
I think it was something like. And I have the checks here. Too, so, I mean, everything's up to snuff. Everything looks good.
That math worked out then?
Yep.
The number of borings versus.
Yep.
Yes. So I will move to approve the right-of-way applications for Santel.
Second.
Right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none?
lots of borings.
Yeah, lots of borings. Yeah, it's gonna be like a job for someone.
This is a little easier than the water. Cause when they bore the water, they immediately stick the line through it. These guys have a boring crew. They come in, do all the borings. They leave the outer, the encasement sticking out of the ground. And then they call us when they stick the wire through it. So this is a lot easier. We can, and they move along pretty fast, cause what is that, 1.25 inch? Oh, no, it ain't that.
The interduct would be 2-inch probably, or inch.
Somewhere there.
Yeah,
Short and loose most of the time, they probably do 10 or 15 a day.
yeah, we had one guy out there the whole day, and my God, they covered half the. Out of 3 permits, they did half of them one day, so. And they're pretty good. They'll call us and tell us. You know, so we don't have to go out on the weekends. I think we did one time. We reminded them. I let it go because it just run over and make sure they were doing what they were doing and left, so. But yep, I recommend you approve them, I guess.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Park Road discussion.
Okay, so. Long time ago when they built Park Road, and I don't have that date. It wasn't built for truck traffic. We put up. No through truck signs on it. And it's worked pretty good, except we allowed the garbage truck to go to the Clay County part. Cause actually the meaning of the through truck is. You can't go all the way like across the river, if that's
No
the case,
amphibious.
right? So he come in and back out. By definition, not through trucks. Well. We have our housing development going in down there, and I mean, there's. Mr. Pullman is hauling big loads, which. So I don't know what, do we wanna, I tried to find a resolution. I thought I had a copy of it in the office. I've not yet come up to it, and I haven't asked Carrie where to start looking. Is that something we wanna get rid of, take the sign down? And just, I don't know, once there's a resolution, it's on the state, I think, but I haven't got that far. Cause I don't think we post that. Did we post that? No. Cause there's not supposed to be trucks going down it. So I think it's on our list not to be posted. And the reason you could do that, is you have to have a resolution. Same thing, why there's a resolution, no posting going to landfill, and one that comes in on Dawson Street. Where it's not posted because the old elevator used to be there. So I don't know if that's something we need to address. There's gonna be concrete trucks going down there when they start building houses. So I don't have a problem one way or the other. I just don't know how long.
I thought that I recalled this coming up in the discussion about initially authorizing the development there was questions about whether that road was gonna be adequate. And I thought that the answer was that it was. So is it engineering wise, is it adequate to support all that truck traffic or is it gonna get
I couldn't
damaged?
tell you, that was built before I was superintendent, and I have not yet defined any plans for it. I don't, I remember it used to be a pretty narrow little chip sealed road down there that was all broke up, and we'd patch it forever, and then I can't remember if they come in, milled the whole thing up and relaid the asphalt, but so I took over in '05. That was probably done in 2000. So I mean, it's held up till now.
Yeah, but it has
Yeah.
those loads on it.
Yeah,
It said semi loads on it.
Yeah.
but I
So
mean, so
should we post it?
Well, you mean as far as for a load limit?
Yeah.
Well, the only reason they don't post it in the spring is because there's no road to get to it by
yeah,
default. I mean, it's
Right.
protected by default in the spring.
Yeah. But I'm thinking of like, you could end up having, some concrete. Some of the concrete trucks that we have here have extra axles and some don't. And those that don't are, 7 or 9 yard loads.
7, and then the ones with the extra axle are 8.
Yeah, they would be, there are some 9 yard trucks around too. But,
yeah, they don't have as many axles on them as Mike's trains.
yeah, yeah. that's
He's
right.
still legal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it just that, and I actually spoke to him this morning about the no through trucks, and he used the same thing. They aren't going to the farthest point of the road, which is another 150 feet,
right.
maybe 200.
But should we be thinking about possibly rebuilding the road after we've suffered through a couple hundred trucks going down there?
I mean, right now it looks fine. Before, we had a little slough right by the stop sign on the Mark Bollison side, but that's because them trees are there and it
Yes,
never ever gets dried out. And I think did we pave?
Yeah.
I think we paved over that, but it's the same way as it is going to the landfill. Once that outside starts sliding,
Yeah.
but I mean, I ain't here to sick the law onto anybody, but I mean, it's
well, I'm
doesn't,
just thinking.
we
in
should
terms
take
of
the sign
protecting-
down, I think.
Protecting our road or conversely realizing we may have to do some repairs later. If the loads get to be too much.
I guess the way I'm thinking is everything has changed.
Yeah.
And I think the sign ought to come down. But I'm not sure that I can just take the sign down without you guys passing a resolution. I mean, we've run into this many times with speed limit signs, whether Andy can enforce them, whether I had in fact, I think a couple, 3 years ago, didn't we do like a blanket policy over the whole county because we have bridges that they have to slow down for on a township gravel road? I think we just redid that, but this is we have them on the Wakanda Road yet? Do we still have the no through trucks on the Wakanda Road?
I couldn't tell you sure.
I don't remember seeing any there. I see them between Bethel Hall and Wakanda.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
mean,
what I'm
from,
thinking.
Oh,
North
Bethel,
and south
north,
road.
one. Yeah, that one's still there,
yeah, I mean,
and that should come down.
there's no way I really don't think there's any way to enforce them. I don't know. I know why they got put up, because when scale used to be in Yankton, everybody'd come around that way and go out. They moved it to 81. Now they're running down Yankton County roads, but he has no through trucks $500 fine if you're caught. Because I mean, they're driving around, going down the Walshtown Road to get by the scale at 8146. So
That's posted no through trucks now too, as I recall, the last couple of years.
what's that?
Walshtown.
Yeah, Walshtown, the 4 Mile Road, the Broomtree Road, the county line was, I don't know if it still is. Those kind of signs, I guess I just drive by, but I just wondered what your thoughts. Take them all down? I mean, if we have no through trucks over here. And we don't have them over here, I mean, the signs, I think everything. First thing the state tells you is you ought to be uniform on all your signs. If you're gonna have them here, you need to have them everywhere, and we don't. Frog Creek Road, University, I'd have been gone a long time ago if we'd have did that. I mean, those are farm to market roads. So I don't know what the answer is. I guess I was not to blindside you, but I was gonna get a hold of you later in the week just to see about the resolution.
Yeah, we can work together. I think that, I mean, I think a resolution is probably the appropriate way to do it, but we should work together, look over what you want to get rid of.
Yeah, I mean, keeping no through trucks signs up when we're not enforcing it and have no intention of enforcing it seems really counterproductive.
And
Well, the park
That was
is,
never on my radar
yeah,
when I was a deputy, and I don't think Mike ever.
every time I go to the park, though, and look at the no through trucks, gosh, I haven't seen one amphibious truck come down here. But on others, like, some of the oil roads that we have, discouraging use of those is a good thing, because it preserves them and then divert traffic to roads that can handle that better, so.
yeah,
It doesn't necessarily mean that, keeping that purpose in mind, I can see getting rid of some of the no through truck pathways, but
I don't know, Carrie, is there a
it's smart for us to keep some.
big
of those.
folder up there somewheres that has resolutions that you know? I mean, this
No.
would have been before both our time when they did that.
I have all the old resolutions scanned, but there's not like one
Right,
filed,
I just
you
have
know,
to look
to,
through them all to
yeah.
find it.
All right. So you guys will work together and we'll come up with some kind of proposal for rationalizing the no through truck signs in the county. Sounds good. All right. So report on meeting with emergency relief and federal highway
You did
officials.
Jump forward to Drew. The first reading was at 9:50.
No,
No,
we just
it
can't
has
do
to
it
be
before.
after. Yep.
Okay. So Brent and I met with Tammy Washburn and the federal highway guys on 302 Street where we had the flooding and 306th Street where we had the flooding, and you only have to have $5,000 worth of damage there, and we went way over that and we're not done yet. That's mainly in debris and emergency putting up signs. I think one of them is, I think 302 is over 10,000, 306 was over 12, but we got shouldering to do. So the good part about that is this time around, they seem to be tired of us getting paid to fix the same thing every time it floods. So I'm in the process of submitting them an estimate. And maybe we can do the whole south side of 306 and the whole south side of 302 with Fleximat. They saw how it worked. You notice that we had a couple tears where tree floated across and a branch got under it, which is repairable. But they were pretty impressed, and they had looked up that how come we hadn't put riprap there, and then they saw what we were talking about, why we'd want riprap higher than the edge of the road. And they thought the Fleximat was a pretty good idea. So I've come up with an estimate, it's about $164,000 to do what's left on 306 and $144,000 on 302. So. And that's something, if we can do it within the 275 days, April 5th. If we can do it before April 5th, they pay 100%. In other words, it's 80-20. But they're sure that's gonna be considered an emergency repair. Because the shoulders didn't wash out like they did along 19 and 46 on the north end. And I don't know if you noticed how they've used, you'll see that green plastic rolled up. And that's like a fiber blanket with grass, and it does not hold it.
It's just like
You know,
plastic stuff, so it is.
And this was the first time that we had water over 306 since we did it, and I thought it performed real well. So that's a good thing, maybe we can get that done. So I'm still waiting to hear back from them on that. The bad news is the two bridges over the Vermillion River, Dawson and Dakota, can remain open. That's a good part. But just a wild estimate between the Fed and the state, they were looking at 650 to closer to $1 million for bank stabilization on the Dawson. And they didn't even want to throw a number out on Dakota. So the engineers are working on a plan, and I told them the Dakota Street needs to be fixed first, because it has the bigger washout to the south of the south abutment. But we also we're gonna have to dig up that south abutment again, because water come back under it again, so we're gonna have to get back under it. I don't remember when we did that, 2019,
Yeah, you're gonna-
18, I forgot to look. But we dug it out once and it had to be closed, for about a week, but at least there's another way into town, the city, and everybody's not happy about it, but I don't know that. I talked to Dave Brunick. He has the property on the south side, on the west side of the river. He says, do whatever we gotta do to get in there. They pretty much told us within reason, we can dump whatever we need in there to fill that washout. And so we can get it rip wrap. I can't do nothing until the engineers submit a plan to them. But that one, they were I don't think they were expecting it to be that bad. Cause they thought 302 and 306 were gonna be worse, and I go, this is one of the better floods for our roads. The bridges are what took a beating this time. So waiting again, waiting, but that's where we stand right now.
All right. Thank you.
So that budget I turned in for
Hmm.
next year, some of that might be going away to fix bridges.
Crumple it up and throw it away.
Just gotta find out what.
So did you order the Fleximat then and
No,
get that?
yeah,
going?
I gotta wait for them to give me the okay.
Oh, okay.
And then I told them we could install it. I thought, well, if they're gonna let us do it, those guys did a good job installing. Now we got that small bucket for the mini excavator, so we can just dig a small trench. You gotta roll the first two over and cover it up, and then that's what holds it. Besides, what metal stakes about
Yeah,
that,
put those
staples.
staples in there, yeah.
So-
20 feet.
So.
Does
no,
that count
like-
toward our 20%?
What's that?
Does that count toward our 20%?
We might get
We
this
don't
down
get-
100.
Yeah.
We don't
hopefully
get any of that, what do they call it, soft money or whatever, we don't, huh?
In kind.
Kind.
Yeah, in kind, we
They
don't,
won't take in kind,
not
they
on
want
that, no,
cash. No.
I tried.
Thank you.
That's all I have, unless anybody's got any more. I think I updated you on hiring, nobody's fired, hiring.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
And
So we're on to, is there a motion to go into ditch board?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second to go into ditch board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Travis.
We're in ditch board. Troy?
I guess these guys probably tell you. On lateral 50A. It's on 453rd Street Avenue and 312. It needs a longer culvert. People about once a year go in the ditch there. Valley Ag truck went in there, needed a tow truck to get it out, so they really got it caved in now.
Is that something what we need to add on both sides?
what was
Just on the
is it
south side.
concrete pipe or is it,
No,
It's not-
is it
arch.
metal pipe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's an arch pipe and
But it didn't.
so we're gonna have to put a whole new one in there. You just can't get a band to add on to it and you and Larry, right?
Larry, look.
Or Larry looked at it and he suggested, seeing how the arch pipe are so hard to get, that a 48-inch round.
Yeah, 36. Was it 36 round? Was
I
it
thought it-
48 was too big for down below or?
Yeah, one of them two, we could, and still cover the water. It's round instead of, I don't know why there's an arch in there, cause there's plenty of
It's
headroom.
original one from the 1950s.
Yeah, there's plenty of headroom there,
It's
so,
only
Doesn't need to
30
be an
foot.
arch.
yeah, I'm sure the pipe is gonna be no good, we pull it out of there anyway. The other one was in a very good shape. That one did get in for, Todd buys,
Oh, that is put in now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a half a mile to the east of that.
Yep.
How
so.
much money do we have carrying that lateral 50 budget, do you know?
I don't, I
You
just
said
looked it up for you the other
19,000
day.
the
I
other
think
day.
it was 19,000.
But we still have to pay Weeman out of that.
Or,
Well, we've only paid for the culvert, so, well, isn't.
no,
one- Not Weeman, but the other.
no, we had Jason Jeton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't got a bill from him yet.
So we haven't paid him, we
Which-
paid for the culvert, but we haven't paid for the
Right.
installation.
Okay.
Right.
So that's gotta come off of that, so. You can figure out what,
Yeah, I'm sure he'll get me a bill here pretty quick.
but if you can figure out what it would cost to put that one in.
Right, yeah, well, and then. Is that all you have?
Yeah, just that there, cause I know everybody always, I'm on the township board, everybody wants us to
Right.
replace it, but it's the lateral,
Yep.
so.
So were you at the last annual ditch board meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so. The pipe in the Clay Creek. That pipe for Todd by, and there's one other one besides what he's saying.
Mark
Where-
Fairley. Got the big one down there, Mark Fairley's?
No, we have that one already.
Oh, okay.
Rod thinks there's another one.
There's
Well, there's
another
another one
one.
that was just straight north of there. I come here last year about this time and asked about putting in that one that goes by Emmy's.
That's what it is.
We gravelled that road now. and
That's
stuff, but
really
an
short
old
one,
cement
and that was approved to put
Yeah.
in. Weeman has that little map and he's too busy to do anything, so we're gonna have, and that was the other one.
Yeah.
And then he's also gonna take care of, east of Becker's. We approved that guy to widen his driveway. He's from Corsica or something. And then he's gonna clean out the ditch. Well, now it's hard to tell what needs to be cleaned out. But he's gonna put the extension on, but that guy has to pay, but he'll do that also. And I contacted that guy and told him that we have a different, cause he's been asking me how come it ain't got put in, and I finally asked Weeman if he's gonna do it. He said, nope, get somebody else. So this kid's pretty hungry and he did a pretty good job. I thought.
Good.
So Emmix, what, that was lateral 3, right?
Yeah,
Two.
it's on the south.
Wouldn't it be
side.
two?
That too?
Either
Either one.
mix on 311?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lateral two.
Okay.
310 is,
One.
yeah. So it'd be, is that on the south side, north
Yeah,
side?
south
So
side.
that'd be 3A. Oh, man, I've been trying to figure. And that's at 453?
Yeah.
Then Jim Petrie called me about one too, and I don't know, if they might be the same one.
Yeah, it's the same one,
Okay,
the same one.
Well, I think he's the one that brought it up at the last,
he wasn't there
oh,
last year, but,
It's the same one.
okay.
and 311. Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, cause I So I'll get a hold of Jason and I'm sure by the end of next week, I can have them both done. He's new kid there, just lives in Irene, so. I mean, he's been doing Elder Township, Star Bethel, they hire him all the time too, so. Figured we gave him a shot.
So entertain a motion to approve culvert, replacement.
So moved.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Within budget.
Within budget, yes. Otherwise, it'll have to be next year. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
I have a question. 50A, 50B and 50 all have the same money amount? Or are they separate?
No,
Yeah.
they're all this.
50 is all the same.
They're all the same. A
Yep.
and B doesn't.
Same with the laterals, 1, 2, and 3, A and B. They're all together.
Oh, sure,
on each of
sure, that
those.
makes sense. Cause I just happened to drive by yesterday, lateral 50 south of Cottonwood to the Clay Creek. It is really getting full of trees and it's dry.
Is that a grinding job we can do?
Yes, I think so.
You have that guy's number still?
Yeah, I should, but I mean, if you only. I get an estimate, have him give us an estimate, cause it don't sound like you got enough money to do that. What's that, 2.5?
2.5, yeah, all the way down to.
2.5, 1.5, 2 miles, yes. And it needs it all the way from, what is it,
Just around the corner off the highway.
yeah,
to the
that,
Clay
we
Town.
put a pipe, we used to have a bridge there. Through Jetley Park and all the way to the Yankton Clay ditches. They really grew this year. But yes, that guy with his grinder, I would think he could walk right down the bottom and cover everything.
You ever thought about having a drone fly down there and kind of spray those things once they start growing or
No.
that work?
Right now, we're not too happy with the drone spray. I just heard from my weed guy, they had the drone hired to work in the Missouri River and is really streaky for purple loosestrife. And the one thing you could do is get on top of the tree, but I think they're so big, they're gonna hinder if we don't grind them up. If we kill them, then they're gonna tip over and end up in the culvert.
That grinder really works good.
Yeah, I thought I did a nice job up there. I think that was lateral 50 something. By Highway 50. I thought that worked pretty good.
Anything else for ditch board?
That's all.
I'll entertain a motion to come out.
Move to come out of ditch board?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, regular session. Ready?
Thanks. All right, Drew. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
We have a public hearing now on the amendment to the 2013 revised zoning ordinance.
Good morning. Yeah, change the zoning ordinance currently in there. It's, mobile homes no older than 1979. That was probably a very good date in 2000 when they wrote that, but, it probably needs to be updated. And that's what this one is.
Yeah, so it was actually June or July 15th, 1976, I think, right?
Yeah, yep, 79, 76. whatever.
Long time ago.
It was, yeah.
And that's, straightforward.
So I had several questions about this one.
Okay.
You know, that's why that date was in my mind, was I thought it was an oddly specific date. And I was wondering what, you know, trying to think through what the motivation was for this. I gave Dick a call to get a bit of a history of how this has worked through. And that date is a specific date because the HUD code went into effect on that date.
Yep.
And so trailers built before that date were built to no federal standards. So there was a distinct difference in quality in trailers built after that date, but not prior to it. So I was wondering, I'm like, why would they have this specific date in there? And it is a long time ago. And I believe that there have been some updates to the HUD code since then, but I'm not sure exactly what they are. I gave took a little bit of time trying to look into that, but I didn't look deeply into it. So, so I had some concerns about this. And primarily they were just wondering about, you know, consistency and the effect that this might have on people. So I think that the idea of, you know, making sure that our housing stock is as good as it can be is good, but seems like very different standards for manufactured homes versus other homes. So I had concerns on that, like, so thought experiment. Grandma's got lives on an acreage in the country and kids in town, and they actually happen to own a house in town. They're gonna move that house that's 100 years old, put it on a foundation. There's a building eligibility there, put it next to grandma's house. That would be fine. So that house though would probably have issues with, maybe could have issues with wiring, could have issues, any of the issues that we would think a 100-year-old house might have, it might have. And our ordinance doesn't have anything to say about whether that's all right or not. But a mobile home that was built in 2000 would no longer be legal so say you own a mobile home in town and it is, met the HUD code, you wouldn't be able to go move that out and put that next to grandma's house, so it just seemed like, I'm all for property rights, and I'm all for not depreciating people's property unnecessarily. So I just wanted to understand clearly what the good was that this rule change would affect, because it does seem like it would also decrease the value of potentially some people's property. If they owned a trailer in town that, maybe it's in good shape, it's got a pitched roof that agrees with our ordinance. We've got language in there that says it's got to have like a shingled pitched roof, like a regular house, so that good trailer would suddenly be worth a whole lot less if you couldn't move it anywhere in the county, because we changed our ordinance. So I just wanted to make sure that we were really thinking through what the impacts of this could be on people, and that we were clear-eyed about what the good was that we were shooting for. I don't want any new regulations that don't have a clear good behind them, so that where the effect is going to be something where we're protecting people's safety, we are achieving some other goal that we want to achieve in the county. And so this one, I just questioned a little bit about what that good would be.
The difference, I think, would be between, let's say, grandma's house and a trailer is, number one, the quantity of mobile homes, modular homes out there versus one occasionally a grandma's home. Second is the cost. A cheap trailer you can pick up for $1,000 sometimes. Maybe Dave knows more about these than I do. You can just pick them up cheap and refurb them, but there's only so much you can do to the underlying structure. Grandma's house is probably going to have dimensional lumber, fir lumber. It's going to be a more solid structure. I think that's the difference between the examples that you.
Yeah.
Grandma's house probably still has another 50 or more years in it with a good upkeep, but a 20-year-old trailer is probably at 2/3, half to 2/3 of its useful life. And I think back to my first trailer that I bought for $800, and I lived in it for a few years, put it on my dad's place, and then I moved away and left a rusting hulk for my dad that was an eyesore for everybody in the neighborhood. I feel a little bad about that in retrospect, but putting a moving target in like 20 years old makes it so that it's at half to 2/3 of probably the useful life of that thing. Typical trailer may be 30, 35, maybe 50 years at the outside. Then they're done.
Yeah, now what was that trailer though built prior to this HUD code going into effect?
Definitely,
Because,
yeah.
Because I think that based on my just kind of digging into this a little bit to try to understand what where's that date come from, things like that. It does sound like there were serious issues with quality of trailers prior to 1976, and that was the reason why they wrote that. So they were fire traps, they were, built with shoddy materials, they were not going to last 50 years. And so, that code is intended to address that, and other iterations of that code addressed other things. So I think that, the goal of continuing to make sure that our housing is built to standards that we feel is safe and durable enough is a good goal. That's one to shoot for. But I think that something like picking another specific date So looking into what's the history of the HUD code, when has it been updated, and which one of those most aligns with what our goals are for the county? So if there's an 85 or there's a 1997 version of the HUD code or something like that, I haven't dug into it deeply enough to know, but maybe there is an update where we want to say, okay, now the 1976 code isn't good enough for us, but we do think that the 1997 code is, or something like that. I think that the moving target is just going to be constantly each year making another pool of, we don't, without going out and looking at what all the stock is out there, I don't think we can say that every trailer that was a 2000 trailer is in real rough shape. I think that there's probably trailers that were built in 2000 that somebody bought a good one, and I'm saying trailer. And that's another thing that I have concerns about, is that, the language in our ordinance makes no distinction between modular homes, manufactured homes. A governor's home is a manufactured home, and some of those can be built to very high standards, very high quality. They can be very, very efficiently because they're built in a climate controlled facility where there's very little waste. And, you can just have real efficient economies of scale when you're building houses like that. And we need affordable housing in the county. So I wouldn't want to do anything that's going to make it harder to get those.
Manufactured homes are treated the same in our ordinance.
Yeah.
Practically, they're not. You don't see modular homes, old modular homes being pulled off and put onto somebody else's house. Usually the factory buys those back, refurbs them, and sells them back out. The other issue for the moving target is other communities use those moving targets, and we don't want a overflow from, let's say, I think Minnehaha County is like 10 years. We don't want an overflow of those 10-year-old trailers coming in, but before our date kicks in. If they're bad trailers and they want to get rid of them, we don't want them. That's kind of another reason for that moving date.
I view the moving target as an advantage. Is that we don't have to mess with it. For instance, there's lots of things that just in general construction practice that is since that mobile home code, the HUD code. For instance, aluminum wiring. A lot of that's in there. Having leaded brass, that's another thing that will never be addressed in that that HUD thing. We can spec out those things that we don't want by specifying more modern construction standards, I guess, not necessarily standards, but practices.
Yeah.
So we're automatically making it so that we're not encouraging our residents to do something that's not good for the county, it's not good for them, it's not good for their neighborhood.
How many I don't know if you know this, Jordan, how many do you know in the last years trailers have we had move into the county that are not new?
Not new. I think all of them. Yeah, I think the first one was a modular home. We did, that was a brand new one. But off the top of my head, I want to say virtually all of them have been older. One of them was 86, but the rest of them would all have been past the state.
That's past the.
Yeah, they would still be allowed in.
Did you have concerns about the quality of the one from 86?
I never was in it, or I just saw pictures of it, but no, I don't have enough information to say that either way.
That probably wouldn't have aluminum wiring, but it certainly would have leaded brass.
Leaded fixtures?
Yeah.
So
But no, go ahead. The other thing was 1996 was the first year we had an ordinance.
Mhm.
So their original thought was 20 years. It just happened to be a coincidence that HUD was 20 years before.
That was literally a coincidence that it hit that date exactly?
I don't know about the July 20th, but
Yeah.
1996.
'Cause I
which would have
Googled-
been 20 years.
I Googled that date and mobile home, and it brought me exactly to, HUD ordinance passed this year, 10 different pages for mobile home companies where they're all on their about page. They're like, oh, this is the year that everything got better. I mean, it's weird to me that was.
But 1996
randomly,
was our ordinance, or was our
Yeah.
first year of an ordinance that I remember. And since I got on the planning and zoning board in 2011, this has been a discussion. Because we were hearing these conditional use permits for some of them, and we're like, why are we not just having this be moving along, every year instead of going, no, 1976 is too old. Just put a date and have it move forward with time. So we don't have to come back and redo this.
So I think I still have concerns about consistency. I have concerns that, you know, other houses in the county are not, you know, this is only affecting manufactured homes and mobile homes. And so I think that it seems out of keeping with the way we treat other building in the county. We don't send our building inspector out to go and, you know, look into stuff and make sure they're doing a good job. You know, we look at some site plans, we say, okay, this looks good. And so this just seems, I think that front of mind for me is thinking about property owners, you know, people that owned a trailer in Vermillion. And I think that Vermillion is trying to move away from having trailer parks. And I could see another one closing, and I could see a bunch of people that own mobile property, and that property is going to become much less valuable if we pass this. So, you know, if you've got like a 1997 trailer and your trailer park closes and suddenly you can't move it anywhere in Clay County, and you're telling me neighboring counties also wouldn't accept it, then that just seems like I want to have a really good reason. And I want to understand clearly the way this is going to solve the problem before I was interested in passing an ordinance that was going to affect people's property rights.
So I'm interested in the manufactured homes. And to me, you know, especially now, manufactured homes seem really different from mobile homes.
Yeah, very.
And that they ought to maybe have different rules. Because the new manufactured homes, I mean, some of them are super high end. They're really, really well built. You know, contractors have discovered that, you know, you can assemble a home really quickly with manufactured parts. And so increasingly contractors are using, you know, manufactured home systems to build even developments. And I know the city of Vermillion is considering now a tiny homes ordinance. Chances are those will be manufactured homes. I'm just wondering if we ought to split this apart and you know, think maybe a little more deeply about the differences between the two. You know,
And they're
I
not,
was-
they're not split different,
No.
yeah,
They're treated the same.
because we've always looked at it differently because the trailer houses had hitches on them.
right.
That was the distinction for us. The houses you're talking about would not have a hitch. It'd be
Yeah,
on a,
well, some
on a
of them are
foundation.
movable. I mean,
They
it's
are, but
interesting.
they almost never are.
everything's
Yeah,
movable.
but
About the same
exactly.
rate
And
as
this
a
is
stick
why
built
we-
house.
Exactly.
This is why it's
exactly.
really hard to parse that out
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah, but I think there is a significant difference between the two. And that this ordinance ought to consider that. Because increasingly, you know, we have a serious poverty problem in this, you know, county. And mobile homes and manufactured homes are really solutions, right, for poor people.
Not in the county jurisdiction. That's a real strain for services, especially law enforcement, ambulance. There's less resources out there for them. So we do try to herd that community more into town where there's more services.
Right, but there's no space left in town. I mean, that's what's really clear. In other words, you know, we're already getting rid of trailer parks. So these mobile homes, you know, all of a sudden have no place to go. If they can't go out in the county, then they literally have no place to go. So I mean, I think we've gotta.
Building a
we've
trailer
gotta-
park in the county also has significant challenges to the road standards we have in there. It's
Yeah,
pretty much cost prohibitive.
Well, yeah, because they won't fit the septic tank.
That's
ruling.
right.
You can't build a trailer park, an affordable trailer park,
right.
and follow septic tank
We have
rules.
50 septic tanks in a row.
Yes.
That ain't gonna work.
Yeah, but I think that for an individual to, you know, rent, for example, a quarter acre or a small lot, you know, to put a manufactured house or, you know, a decent sized mobile home, I think, you know, for a lot of people, that's what they can afford. And so, you know, I think we've got conflicting values here. And, you know, given that over a quarter of our population in this
Well,
county is,
I totally agree with you, because
Yeah.
I deal with affordable housing
Right.
every day. But that, you know, the 2 acres of land, wherever they need to put a mobile and a septic system, that's not an affordable solution for income. Because if you have a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 trailer,
you're gonna spend $40,000 just getting infrastructure to put that trailer on that land, not including the land. So,
But you could have someone who has an existing trailer and it's from 1960 and it's horrible, and but it has a septic system and it's on a piece of property, and that person might want to purchase your 1995 trailer for $15,000 or something like that, move it out onto their property and replace the crappy one, but this ordinance would prevent that. And that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking of, the property value we would be taking away. I just
see
that
that
worry
as a
about
valid
that.
point.
In
Yeah.
10 years after we move that crappy trailer out there, it's a rusting hulk. That's the idea, is to get, we need to be promoting housing that's going to be more than a 10-year Band-Aid solution. That's part of the reason why the 20-year rule, where at least it's got 10 to 30 years life on that plot of land. That's usable. If we allow any old trailer to be moved out there, that's built after 1970, whatever. Maybe there's 3 years of useful life in it before it burns, for instance, or.
What about
They-
this?
move
So
on.
So this is a conditional use that we're discussing. There's nowhere where you can put a mobile home and not get a conditional use permit for it. So is considering the quality of the mobile home that's being placed on the parcel something that can be considered in the conditional use permit process? Can you say, show us that the siding is in good repair, show us that the roof is in good repair, show us that the windows are in good repair? Do you have leaded fixtures? And if they say, if they can show that those things aren't true, then we're all right with it. And then, because I worry that there's gonna be trailers that were built in 2000 that are in bad shape. There might be trailers that were built in 2007 that are in real bad shape. There might be trailers that were built in 1990 and somebody did a good job upkeeping them and replaced the fixtures and they're great. And so it just seems that, to me, that 20-year doesn't seem to be a very carefully aimed solution to the problem of we want better quality trailers.
I
So,
suppose the alternative would be to hire a building inspector then, eh? How much do you wanna spend?
well, we can put the onus on them to come and demonstrate to the conditional use board that, here's some photographs of the interior and
So have
Here's the
them
state
hire a building inspector to come in and whatever that costs
Put on there, yes.
to put on a low cost worn out trailer. And they gotta pay that whether the trailer's worth it or not.
And I do think we need to separate manufactured homes.
Well, manufactured homes have a lot more in common with stick-built homes. That's,
Exactly.
if we're gonna do anything, we'd split manufactured homes over and group them with stick-built
Yep.
homes and leave trailers by themselves.
That's what I would do.
and I think
No
technically
bitches and no
according,
wheels.
I think
Yeah,
according to HUD, if I'm remembering right, there are no mobile homes that have been built since 1976 in America, because that's what their language changed and everything. They're all manufactured homes after that. So I don't know if we'll be able to pull that apart right now. So.
That's why
well,
we
the
couldn't separate
definition that Dave just said, it's got no axles and no trailer hitch.
Like we.
But those that do are still considered
Set
manufactured.
set on a permanent foundation.
Yeah, that's the other part. It's kind of a hitch too.
But we require that of our mobile homes that are placed as well. We say they have to be on a permanent foundation, correct?
Yes.
But you have to define permanent foundation too, because some communities will allow you to do posting pads where
Mhm.
you drill down and you just 4 foot deep pillars. Then your cement blocks go set, it still looks exactly like that.
Is that the language in our ordinance, true?
Not that I remember. I
No.
don't remember it off the top of my head, but that's not it. No.
Yeah. But I do think we need to make a distinction between these things that travel and things that are permanently set on a permanent foundation.
We're working on another set of, this is part of a parcel of changes coming down to this ordinance, and that's part of what we're considering. And then allowing manufactured homes to be interchangeable with stick-built homes.
Yeah, so it seems like definitions here would be really critical.
It's not an easy one to pull apart, but
Well,
yeah, it's something we've been talking about for years.
Can we change a definition?
Yes, we can write whatever definition we want. How usable it is another
Yes,
one.
yeah. And the other, the kind of the philosophy behind this is to have some sort of a easily applied gateway and standard of what would be appropriate. You know, the way I look at it, it's if you have a mobile home that's less than 20 years in age, it's gotta still have some significant life to it. Depending on who the manufacturer is, you know, if I were to be interested in buying mobile homes and I saw one that was 50 years of age and one that I'd want to buy, I'd want to be looking at, I'd really think of that as being a really good commercial for that manufacturer. Almost none of them are worth keeping at that life. You know, it's more like when Mike O'Connor bought the mobile home parks in Vermillion. And one of the first things he did was take out as the leases ran out on a lot of the older ones, he'd hook onto them with his John Deere tractor, pull them out to the landfill and cut them up.
Mhm.
And the ones that were worthwhile, and those were mainly the newer ones, he would reconfigure his lot so that it was in good shape, and eventually the lots, I think there's two left that Mike owned. And it was quite a sight to see him pulling a 14 wide trailer out to the landfill behind that little John Deere.
His hand clutch.
Yeah, it was the Johnny Popper, John Deere 60.
I owned a trailer court in Yankton, and I owned all the trailer houses, a lot of rural ones. Was a maintenance nightmare,
Yeah,
but it was affordable living for a lot of people
as a rental.
as a rental, yeah.
I'd almost hate to see some of the older mobile homes pulled out into the country and put the other investment that's involved to use to work. As you don't want to make judgments for people as far as their investments are concerned, but
But
I
I understand the need for this. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, this is just for residents. I mean, you see people that have old trailers for storage, that doesn't cover that or anything, stuff like that. So I've actually got I pulled it off of Franklin Street,
Hmm.
an old mobile home, it's 1957. Walk inside, go back in time.
yeah,
It's all birch,
yeah,
polished paneling, green toilet, green tub. Walk back in time, it's perfect, pristine condition.
yes,
It's a playhouse for the grandchildren,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, I
But-
know at least one person who lives in the county whose house burned down and moved into a trailer because he's basically living on SSI.
Mhm.
And I don't know what we say to somebody like him, you know, you're homeless. I mean, what do we say to
So
someone?
it's
like
not gonna
him?
affect a trailer this is going to only be affecting conditional use permits going forward, right? So a conditional use permit going forward would be automatically denied if the trailer they're asking about is over 20 years old. But anything that's out there already just gets to be there, right?
Yep.
And it's easily administered this way.
Yeah. How
move to
many-
Go to second reading.
Second.
You got a motion and a second to bring this to a second reading. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I am nay on this one. Yep.
Yep. I'm nay on this form. If we were able to separate the two out and work out the definitions, I'd be for it. But
That's
yes,
the next step.
Yeah.
Or one of the next steps.
Right.
Let's put it that
I
way.
will motion carries, it goes to second reading. Good discussion, thank you.
And, I know we've already closed discussion on this, but about how many are we talking about a year? Like about how many of these do you see?
That don't include river ones.
What?
All told, I think max we've gotten in a year is maybe off the top of my
Is
head.
that river? There's a lot of trailers on that river.
Per year, maximum per year,
Oh.
max.
The flood in Missouri, we watched across the river, a mobile home go into the river. It's down somewhere, I'm guessing it didn't go real far, but it.
A scuba diving adventure, so.
It is.
So, hey, let us get back to it.
Cabin.
Isn't that where Molson come is down? This or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the applications.
So that's
Yes.
temporary
Yeah.
housing on temporary land.
Okay. All right, so let's go on to the planning and zoning budget.
Good. Planning and zoning budget and Veterans Affairs. Most of the part, just 5% increase. I did increase by 400% to 400% on one and 100% on another for travel budget for conferences and stuff. And that is it on that.
Just a moment.
Any questions or comments?
All right, so, it took me a moment to pull this up. Your changes again?
5% except for travel and conference, on the, planning and zoning. I don't have to- One of them, it's 400% increase to $200. Another one's 100% increase to $200 for travel budget.
Travel was only $200 before.
Yeah, we've been hearing that from all the departments. That's kind of got to bump a little this year.
Yep.
Any questions?
It's good to me.
And the salaries and wages, is that in line with the 7% we were talking about?
All right,
Also, department heads planned the same increases this year, so. it's in line
So
with all the other
everybody
departments.
playing the same 7%. Okay.
all right.
I believe it was 10 for department heads. and
Oh,
7
10 for that's right, to catch up a bit because the department heads had lagged more than the others in the our matrix, right? Okay, thank you.
Good. Upside you didn't make it.
Whoops.
She was here a week or so.
Okay.
Thank you, Drew.
Lane? The trailer parking again. We're gonna,
Before we do that, though, I'm gonna give a shout out to Steve Waller. Who's on, we've been emailing back and forth about pod stuff. And all of the discussion with Drew has actually caused his ads to go to tiny homes, mobile homes. And all of that as he was watching this. So Big Brother is listening.
Yes.
that's pretty creepy, Steve.
It is very creepy. That is not something I normally look at, and to have my messenger start dinging like mad. And all of a sudden there's a tiny home floor plan and then there's a manufactured home ad. And it's like, this is not what I expected.
Wow. Some people have told me that they turn off their Alexa completely. They just got rid of it. because
I
of
don't
that.
use Alexa.
Ah,
Never had one.
I do not use any verbal commands on my phone.
I don't either, and I have the same experience.
Yeah.
That, all you've got to do is almost sit in the house and mention something. I'm ready to step outside pretty much. I need a cone of silence. I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we all do.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Steve. I found it.
Yes, thank you.
But so once again, we're at the culmination of the Fair Board versus my trailers. And Missy's not here, but sometimes I wonder, you know, and maybe Travis can answer, because the money's coming from the same pool. Whether or not I pay for it or it's in their budget, I'm not so sure that they don't realize that it's not me paying for it, it's the taxpayers. So it's all coming from the same pool. So I don't necessarily get that. But my bigger concern is being kicked out in April and not allowed back.
Yeah.
There is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff in those trailers that I need to have in a secured location.
If I may.
Yes.
Whose building is that?
It's our building.
Exactly. How
So,
much rent are we charging them for our building?
so we've never paid rent. It's always been this arrangement. In roughly a year, hopefully, this isn't an issue anymore because Lane will be parking in our new garage.
Yeah,
I don't see any reason to change.
I don't either.
No.
I think whatever,
And you
whatever
will
they
not be
wanna
kicked out
charge us for
April
that spot,
Okay.
those trailer storages, that's what we charge them for renting the whole dang building.
They'll have it all next year.
Yeah,
But until that time, or when, I'm not even gonna say next year, when the time comes, because there is space planned for Lane, then they
Yep.
won't be there.
We can't risk that equipment and medical supplies
no,
for $1,400.
Yep.
For the
No.
airport.
Yeah.
And the generator has to be plugged in.
Yeah.
I mean, we put that service in there so it can be plugged in and ready to go.
Yep.
It's,
And I did walk it off a little bit and it's roughly $1,400 by $15 a foot, kind of a thing.
I was
So-
guessing and I came up with max 2,000, so.
Yeah,
That's.
yeah.
that's
So-
great. Now we know what to charge them for the whole building. For them to rent the whole building from us, it's $1,400. Maybe we ought to have a carrying charge. Maybe we ought to charge them 2,000. What do you
we'll
think?
just keep going with the process that it's been.
Okay,
So.
I'm all in favor of that, but
I know,
But
I get your
as-
point.
as a comparison,
Yes.
So reading the letter in the lease, it sounded like the Fair Board's ready to kick out the county trailer. Is that not true?
They can't.
They have no.
They don't have the authority to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and yeah, and again, the money's one thing, it's the being kicked out and. Cause I would have to store everything in the parking lot, so it's on a camera, so in case something happens, and then the command trailer's never. Way too big to fit in the parking lot and all that, so.
And this
But-
was the first until you brought it up, because I hadn't gotten to that part of the budget. I hadn't heard a word about
Yeah.
it. So
And
I was blindsided like.
So
what?
you'll be talking to Busy.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
the other part is we've gotta have these accessible too, in case
Correct.
something would go wrong. So we need a prime spot, or at least a spot that will work. For the-
and they've been very good about
yep,
that.
we've always, as long as we keep getting the same spot we've always had.
Yep, last year backing in the generator was a little tricky. I had to have Dave and the game warden help because it was going around and then going back and all of that, but wasn't last winter, it was the winter before, we had an incident up on campus where we needed the command trailer up there. And it was after a snowstorm. And I had to have city crews come over with front end loaders to clear out the door to get it out. But if that trailer would have been outside, there would have been, it would have been the same essentially thing. I would have had to have assistance getting snow out, but it would have been a lot more difficult, I think.
But we're gonna solve that problem.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
But yeah,
That's-
I mean, we hold the lease on the property,
that's right.
so. They're our buildings. I mean, the county paid for them. They built
Yeah.
them long time ago. Now
Yep.
granted, the Fair Board's doing a lot of the upkeep and maintenance. I was a little surprised that she said what we're paying them doesn't cover the mowing.
The
Well, they're
mowing
using our
and
mower.
liability insurance, I believe, was also
They
mentioned.
use our mower.
Yeah, and they offered to do the labor on the mower.
Yeah.
Over time. That was like 4 years ago where we,
When we had to start opting out, we
Yeah.
cut everybody and their
Yeah.
mowing was like 4,000, so we just we offered to let them use our mower.
right?
Oh, yeah, okay, I wasn't aware of that, so.
So whether they're still doing that or not, I don't keep up on that.
No, if they wanted to buy a new mower, that was our solution, was to let them use ours.
Right. And, yeah, maybe, I'm not sure if Scott got the same information either, cause doesn't he store something out there over the winter too?
I don't think so. I think he
Well,
stores it all at Rod. with
Yeah.
Rod.
Okay. All right. So, all right, as long as I'm good and I don't have to send a lease back in by the 14th or not get my spots, that's all I care about. So, okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Lane.
Thanks, Lee.
And thank you, Travis. All right, vouchers, anybody, I still need another minute.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's not too bad up here, is it? I'd say. It is, a more comfy chair.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a little getting used to. I do like my other one. It was broke in.
Yeah, I can't lean back the same way and really.
It's funny how it's kind of like an old mattress,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, you need to change it, but
Yeah.
boy, do they gotta break in.
Do they remove in the back?
It's got lumbar support.
There's like a thing on the bottom here I was
There's-
messing with before
yeah,
the meeting. We'll try and get.
There's a lever on the bottom or something.
And let you go back further? or-
There's,
It seems like it should, but I
that's
couldn't
lumbar.
get it to work, so. No, maybe that's lumbar. It's like a.
No, it should make you go back, but it doesn't do much.
I hate to
don't
have to
think
push
it's
back
hooked
and break it.
I know.
Let me just tip this upside down, see what it is. Later.
Yeah, I'm remembering Linnea, what time is the lunch and learn? Is that 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
11.
believe that's scheduled for this room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're prepared to start a little later.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
So has everybody had a chance to see vouchers now?
Yep.
Okay,
Move to approve.
Second.
so motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we have the agreement with Central Square Technologies for software services. And
Yes.
it looks to me like there's 4 different charges. Is that right?
So, the financials are all the same there as in the quote that you all approved a few weeks
Okay.
ago. Everything is the same. They just needed to have that extra language in there, for the master agreement. And Michael's reviewed it. I don't think there's anything too crazy.
Massive corporation,
Mhm.
I'm sure this is very boilerplate. The only thing I would, their dispute resolution is extraordinarily complicated.
Yeah.
But I think if we want to engage them, we're gonna do it on their terms.
Okay, well, would somebody like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any Clay County Park?
Yes, actually, just a happy update, the progress on the proposed prairie restoration project next year, is going along well. So we've got a great group, managed to, assemble a great group of experts. So we've got, I was amazed when I was counting them all up. We've got representatives from Pheasants Forever, Army Corps of Engineers, Game Fish and Parks, USD Biology and Sustainability, who else? I feel like I'm missing somebody too. And all of them have been willing to help us do the seed mix design and the long-term management plan for the site. We have offers of donations of equipment from South Dakota Game Fish and Parks and staff time. So we've got some great in-kind donations. We've received two separate anonymous $5,000 donations to support seed purchases. And we're working closely with Pheasants Forever to make sure that we're within the guidelines for a pollinator grant application they have that'll get us another $6,000, another $200 an acre. So right now we're sitting at over $500 an acre in seed purchase money because all the equipment's donated. And I've been working with USD. I took my first group of AWOL students out. So 15 students and I went out to Spirit Mound and we began hand gathering forb seeds. And we now have, we have another date set for September 15th. And we're going to try to get if possible, 3, 4, 5 more of these. We've got a location that has actual native virgin prairie just across the river in Nebraska, so within 20 miles of this site. We've got another site in Westfield, Iowa, so it's same latitude, about 30 miles away. A 300-acre restored prairie there with a 30-acre plot that's got real forb rich. And we have permission to go gather seed there as well. So we're gonna be getting a lot of like actual locally native, evolved in this spot seed that we're gonna get to put on the site. So I'm really excited that we're gonna be able to have, I think, a real kind of jewel of the county. It's gonna be incredible pollinator habitat. It'll be a great educational resource. USD Biology is interested in, Mark Dixon at USD Biology was just proposing maybe having his future ecology students do monitoring there in coming years. So yeah, just going along really well. And I just wanted to report to everybody that there's an exciting thing to look forward to next year of a neat new public ground. So it's gonna make the whole public use area continuous from the area with the playground and the picnic area all the way down to the river is gonna all be accessible to the public and accessible year round. We have a lot of cross-country skiers out there. I think they're really gonna enjoy having some mowed trails through the prairie in coming years to
How
enjoy
much
it.
of that is presently crop ground then?
So of the entire Clay County Park, this year, there's 125 acres in production. This is 31.58 acres, which is gonna go out of production next year. So,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be down to about 93.5 acres or something like that. But because of our lease renegotiation, we're going to be bringing in considerably more income than we ever had before on the farm ground that we have. So we went from $144 an acre to 312. So it's really, we're money ahead with more public ground for the community to enjoy, and I think it's gonna be really beautiful, so.
So are you putting that 31 into CRP then?
We are not. So we went back and forth about that a lot, but one thing would be that if it was to go into CRP, our lease terms between the county and Clay County Park Board would have to reflect the same term as the CRP. So we'd have to have like a 10-year lease instead of the annual lease. I think there was some discussion in this body that it's always possible that leverage could be useful to have a one-year lease. So I think that was one thing. There's also a whole lot of additional regulatory rules that we would have to follow. And so we decided in the end that the potential payout of getting it in CRP wasn't worth the additional rules that we'd have to follow and the challenges of making it align with some of the other structures that are already in place. So.
There aren't that many rules.
No, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Why would you pass that money up?
Well, so part of it was coming, I mean, so we would have to, like, one thing we would have to do is we'd have to have a lease, we'd have to rewrite the lease with Clay County
No, you
Park.
wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
See,
Not at all.
so
It's our ground. Even if we did a 10-year lease, you guys can't sign on any of it. We're the owners. We can do it. And then it'll be in then we can put it in a CRP. It has nothing to do with the park board. Even if you had a 10-year lease, you could not sign it up.
Okay.
We have to sign it up. And then they come up with your seed mixture, which I'm sure you can add more in if you wanted. They may even go with your seed mixture.
That was be the main.
if
thing
you'd
that I
like me to
think
revisit it,
about.
I'd be happy to. It
Plant
just,
plant the seeds, and then you do have to mow it and,
In the first, you have to
In the
maintain
first
to
year.
keep the weeds down the first year,
that's right.
which they would have to do anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the establishment part. And then, but if you're gonna have designated trails, you would have to probably take those out,
those would have to be not part of the CRP ground. Yep.
Yeah. which that's simple enough. They can you draw them where you want them and they'll do the math, but
Yeah, if this body's interested in me revisiting that, I'd be happy to. Yep.
I would hate to walk away from the money. Cause you're basically doing the same thing. And foot traffic is fine on CRP.
Yeah.
You just can't drive on it.
Yep. I mean, I think I was hearing something like maybe like $175 an acre or something like that. Is that same?
It all depends.
It
It
really
changes, depends on where you're classified at.
It's
So,
been, I've
5
had
grand?
guys that have gotten as much as 350 an acre.
Wow.
Well, I'll reopen that
But
discussion.
those leases have now expired.
Yeah, I'm happy to reopen that discussion and just make sure that there aren't new rules that conflict there, but.
Yeah, I don't know I mean, if you're doing, from what I'm understanding, you're doing what they want anyway.
We are definitely doing what they want in spirit for sure. But my understanding was that there was just concerns about some of their specific management rules, and then how they might
No, I
might
think you'll-
conflict or be challenging to guarantee we're gonna follow, so.
We could roll it in next year, I suppose, but then you'd end up needing to mow it again next year because it'd be the first year enrolled.
Yeah, it's gonna take time to establish it anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what Spirit Mountain took.
Yeah.
Yep, I
That's
think
the deal
we're
with
expecting.
reestablishing. You know, like our old farm over in the Les Hills, which is
Mhm.
probably not restored prairie that you're getting forage from over there.
No.
Probably natural
Yep.
prairie that's 8,000 years old. Like our old farm, there's never been it was all natural prairie, all natural forest except a couple little alfalfa fields that we had down in the Valentine's.
So.
Yeah,
sounds
so
good.
that's all. Yeah,
It's
and
exciting.
I'll certainly, I'll follow up on
And if
that.
it meets revenue, yay.
Yep.
Right, so, joint jurisdiction?
We've had a couple of meetings.
Yeah.
The last one was pretty well, what was that? Around 40 or so, the one that you guys went to.
Oh, wow.
We're gonna add another one at the library in sometime in September. Tonight, we're gonna meet at 6:15 and go over the public input we've gotten so far, and then probably schedule that other meeting. Maybe it's already been scheduled and I don't know it yet.
Yeah, somebody told me, asked me about the meeting, so word is getting out
Yeah.
about subsequent meetings. Great. Any other building?
Nope, nothing from me.
Anything else? Do we need an executive session? No? All right. Would somebody like?
Move to adjourn.
Yeah,
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.